Hi, this is Cindy Cisneros. I am owner of Creatively LLC, and this is the Create Well Minutecast, episode 91. And this episode is going to be a little bit longer. I usually go for 1 or 2 minutes, but today, what I want to give you is a shortened version of a webinar that I sometimes give that uh, talks to you about some tools for creative people with overwhelm, gives you a little bit of background about myself and my business, and talks to you about how I accomplish that and why, helping creative people with overwhelm. So I want to start with hopefully an overview of who I hope is here. Uh, Hopefully you ended up here because you believe yourself to be, or at least are wondering if you are creative in some capacity. It might be because you are already doing creative things. You are professionally creative in some way. It might also be because you find relief and fulfillment in creative activities. Uh, what I, but what I want you to know is both of those and things in between are equally important, because ultimately what it probably boils down to is that your personality has features of it that are inherently qualities of creative people, like you find fulfillment through your creative practice. It is important to you to have meaning in your life through the things that you do. You have powerful emotions. You are very, very driven by passions, and it is important to you to carve your own way through the world. I'm going to include some references to places where you can read more about your creative personality, but I don't want to belabor that because there are plenty of other places where I've outlined that for you. I want to talk to you a little bit more about how I ended up doing creativity coaching and creativity counseling. That is what I do. The short answer is creative people are kind of overlooked in terms of their needs being specific. And I was no exception to that rule, especially if you're a creative person who grew up with very specific expectations and rules and you weren't allowed to express yourself freely. That was my story also, and that can create really a profound unhappiness, and that can be blamed back on you by well-meaning people who are trying to help you, or in more malicious ways. It doesn't really matter, but that lack of ability to be authentically creative and authentically yourself can create profound unhappiness. And that was my situation. And if you have the tools, and this is something that I'm very passionate about doing, where someone can help you understand this depression may be chemical, but more likely what is happening is you are a creative person with obstacles between you and your unique and authentic expression of self. And these passionate feelings that you have are actually an asset and not a problem, for example, then you can really begin to thrive. So I didn't have somebody telling me that. I was just kind of struggling. And so, in an effort to understand myself better, I ended up studying psychology. I went to school also for art. I ended up studying in graduate school how the two of those things were related, creativity and psychology, and did a lot of research on everything I could get my hands on the topic, and found things like creative people have characteristics that hang together. And from there began to work into my own research, and my thesis was in graduate school, exploring this relationship. And what I found was the more creative you are, the more you need to practice creative pursuits, whatever they are for you, to be healthy. And that's the foundation for all the work that I do with creative people. It all boils down ultimately to using your creativity to be well. And it's understanding your creativity as a person and what that means for you, your personality, and that it's an asset and not a burden, as maybe you have, through different avenues in your life, come to believe. It is building creativity back into your life and understanding how your story has maybe shut that down in your life, and reclaiming it and bringing it back into the forefront of your life, because it is the most important part of you in terms of your identity and your health. And then it is deciding what really you want to do and makes you healthy. Because when I started talking about overwhelm in the beginning, and a lot of times creative people will tell me, there's not enough time in the day. I can't possibly fit one more thing in. And I mentioned that a quality of creative people is having powerful emotions and having powerful energies. Rarely what I find in creative people is that overwhelm is not enough energy for things. Usually, what I find in creative people is that overwhelm is a lack of life affirming activities, things that matter to you in your life, that somehow your life path has taken you in a direction that's given you many, many activities to do in your life, but they're not meaningful to you. They don't resonate to you. They don't give you meaning and peace and happiness and fulfillment in your life. And so, what you're overwhelmed with is meaninglessness. And really, the antidote for that is to get back in touch with what is meaningful to you and put those things back in your life and watch your life kind of redirect from there. And so that is what I'm here to do in creativity counseling and creativity coaching, whether you're an actively working creative person or whether you're somebody who's looking to get back in touch with that side of you and see how that drives you forward. I want to help you. I'm passionate about helping you because of how I had to start from the beginning and pave my own path. It's something that really matters to me. So, that's what I wanted to share with you today. Like I said, that's a longer cast than I usually go into, so I'm not going to belabor any of those pieces, but I am going to put in the notes for this cast a couple of follow-up resources if you want to read more. And if any of this spoke to you, I am passionate about connecting with you and offering you what I can. I want you to succeed. I hope that was helpful. Okay.